Tell me about the difference between, like running a global brand, presumably having a lot of people working for you that need to move quickly, with what can sometimes be at the local level, very little support, and you're working on potholes and trees and very local issues that are critical to a community, but are very different than running a global brand. Talking about the differences or the similarities.
Yeah, I mean, there's several things that are different and similar. The similar, I mean, P&G, like a lot of companies, is a big bureaucracy. And so you do have to understand how to navigate a bureaucracy and how to motivate people in a bureaucracy. I mean, I think we're a city manager form of government too. And so you have to understand how to motivate people in the administration to work for you. And it's not always by, pounding them and everything. So, I mean, there's those kinds of similarities in terms of bureaucracy. Obviously, in the private sector, you have a lot more flexibility. But what I find most energizing, same thing at P&G, was I get energized by delivering impact. And obviously, the impact in business, I would wake up every day and look at my shipment number and see how I was doing and whether I'm beating competition and all that. That's a very different motivation than obviously in the city. But I find the impact very meaningful, and it's what motivates me. The ability to see a problem, dissect the problem, engage with the community on a solution, and then build coalitions, which you also have to do in business. And as a result, implement something that actually can improve people's lives.
Tell me about what do your former colleagues think of this transition? I think you see some folks coming out of the private sector and they'll run for Congress or governor or, these sort of quote unquote higher level jobs. You don't see a lot that get down and work up at the grassroots level, at the street level. How's that conversation go?
Yeah, I mean, I think they greatly admire it because they recognize we really need good leadership. And what I hear from many people in the community is we need people like you who have business background, but then also entrepreneurial background and then nonprofit background to really serve in the community. And so I think they admire it. They shake their head and wonder why I would do it. Get yelled at about this issue or that issue. But I think they recognize that, look, we need leadership at all levels of our society. We need leadership in the private sector, nonprofit sector, and obviously in the public sector. And those leadership skills, I think, obviously can cross sectors. And I think my former colleagues at P&G recognize that. I joke with my staff often. I use a lot of P&G frameworks for analyzing issues and actually, my staff last week said it to me. I was jumping on something and he said, well, you always say a problem well defined is a problem half solved. And, the other one is what has to be true, this framework of P&G of like, okay, if you hit a barrier, instead of just saying, well, it's just too risky, it's just not possible. This whole idea of what needs to be true. Like, okay, well, we would need X dollars. We would need more people. We would need to change the law. We would need to do this. Okay, let's open up the discussion and maybe think about things a little differently. And I find those frameworks apply whether you're at P&G on a $1 billion business or down at the local level, trying to literally solve crime on a street corner. It's the same type of mindset of problem solving.